Hello, how's everybody? I was doing laundry, and I just finished. And I used to do it like yesterday, but I couldn't come. I had to cook yesterday, and today I studied a lot. And now, I wanted to clear up some things with this. The last video, I was talking about a new subject. It seemed like something that we talked about all the time, but not really. And I remember, like in these new videos that I have, a lot of times I would say, I was speaking about like a fine line, okay? Just the fine line that we're talking about now. And I always say like, oh, this is new information. This is something I learned. Well, now I'm going to explain a fine line. But before, I couldn't really explain the fine line. But as time goes on, and that's why I tried to explain to you that it is something that I work on constantly, and I use everything that we've talked about, and especially in the last 2 years. That's when I've been really active as far as being a good ex-Jehovah Witness. Okay, so now I'm going to clear up the line. I remember the last video that I talked about, which is very important. It was kind of a shaky introduction. But I know a lot of people who know all the videos, they know how to get through that. I mean, to me, it's very highly important because of how things change. And nowadays, you can learn so much by expressing something from your heart. So much putting things on paper nowadays. I mean, it takes a lot. I mean, not that it's bad, but you do lose a lot of points. I mean, I'm experienced with this. I've been on these videos now for over 10 years. And I know this is the best way to give you the material. Now, what I was talking about last time, and we talked about this subject so many times as before, and I was like praying that that everybody would notice how different the information is, how it changed. And like in a lot of things that I do, I have to notice very fine lines. I mean, like, just very fine lines. Like moving something, just like if I had this, okay? I mean, I could have this, okay? And this it's like, it's so small, I mean thin, you know what I mean? It's wobbly. And if I had it like this, okay, say if I put it like this, okay. Say if I put it like that, okay, it felt like that. And then, the kind of information I was telling you, I'm just showing you an example of how something can change. And when I'm talking to you about fine line, what I'm talking about, like if I went from there and I just said, okay, well, that's much better, okay? So I had it here, and then I just said, that's much better. That's the fine line I was telling you about, and it changes everything. That's an example, but that's what I was trying to tell you. Because we talked about all the things that we did that I talked about in the last one, but it's different. And before, I was telling you about the fine line. If you go through the recent videos, especially this year, I always talk about a fine line. And I couldn't explain it though, okay? So that's why I know things continually progress, because I do work on it. I mean, it seemed like a joke, or that I want views or whatever. Yes, I do need views and everything because I have to do my job, but that's not why I give the videos. Some people who don't understand about the fine line
or
who have or are not used to the videos, they might say he's just saying the same thing that everybody else that we've all been saying, but that's not true. Okay, so now, but I couldn't tell you, I couldn't explain to you about the fine line. Now I'm able to explain to you about the fine line. And continuing from this last video, I don't put part 1, part 2, part 3 because that's not the way people view things. It's not the way. It's just, I take in consideration all my subscribers. My subscribers are very highly intelligent. And I know my subscribers, I mean, in the music and in the ex-Jehovah Witness, these people are highly intelligent. They make sure they get information and they go over their information. And my subscribers, they just don't subscribe. They just because I study this. I have to in order to keep doing well. My subscribers just don't subscribe. They make sure that they know where I'm going before they subscribe to me. That's the story of my life anyway. Everybody makes sure that I'm doing something and that I'm not playing around before they give me any interest. That's just the way it goes. That's the way of my life been. And I agree with that, and I like it. So I pretty much do my videos according to my subscribers. Because they're really awesome. So anyway, so now I'm going to explain to you about this fine line that I couldn't before. I was just trying to tell you in my latest videos, like I said, especially this year, I kept talking about a fine line. And I wasn't able to express it. A lot of things you can't express sometimes, but you can explain. And this can't be put on paper, But I have to go over and over and over it and make sure that it's newsworthy in order to put it in the video, Because another thing about my videos, I don't want it to lose time. I don't want it to be shelf videos. Another type of videos I don't do shelf videos. I don't do videos usually. Maybe in the future when I get a relationship or something, I don't know. But maybe. I don't think that will happen, but who knows. But what I'm saying about shelf videos is like when I'm just doing a video for that certain specific time and it doesn't relate to like in a month or a year, it's not going to be substantial. It's not going to do anything. It has no meaning later on. So that's another thing I think about when I do my videos. So now the fine line, okay? It's in, when I say fine line now, now I can see clearly, is that it's in a perspective, okay? It's in, they use something not in this class I took, it was really good. But anyways, in a specific perspective. And like the things that I talked about in the last video, I was talking about, like for instance, the things that happened. I had to say me because I wanted to show people that it was a true experience. And I did mention it before in other videos, like not being able to speak with or having a relationship with, now I'm speaking in the perspective of a Jehovah Witness, a worldly relationship. You can't have worldly relationships. You can't do sports. You can't do clubs in high school and stuff like that, okay? Now, we expressed that before, but this time I wanted to show you that these things were planned. They're planned evils. So what perspective am I speaking in? I'm speaking, and I explained one time, my specialty. My specialty is what had to have happened and what has to be happening. That's two of them, okay? What had to have happened, I'm perfect at it. What I'm saying is that if I figure out something, and God knows I'm perfect at it, so you can't fool me. And when I say it, I'm really serious. So that gives you clout that I'm giving you, I'm persuading, I'm not persuading, I'm showing you that I'm able to do this topic. Now, that's what I'm saying. What I was saying is that because of the fact I can see and I know it comes from a lot of work, what had to have happened and what has to be happening in order for something to be. So when I talk about not being able to do clubs and associate with people in the world as a Jehovah Witness, I'm saying that this was a plan. In order to control people, in order to do anything, control is not bad. Because the government has to control us all, in a certain perspective, so that we can get along together to a certain extent. Like with rules and regulations. And we follow rules and regulations. But you have some people who are very, very intelligent, and they know how to do this. The normal person, first of all, doesn't have time to do it. So the people who built this has to be very well to do, okay? And it has to be planned. It just doesn't shoot out of your head. It's not how can you say, it's just not something by chance, okay? So the inability or them telling us that we can't associate with people in our school and do sports and things are for a reason. It was planned, okay? So I'm looking at that's the fine line. It's a perspective from watching over them. It's like this perspective. It's their perspective, but it's like me, okay, because, like I said, I can figure out what had to have been, okay? So if I say I can figure out what had to have been, that means I can hover over them, okay? So it's like a, hoover over them, like a, this is all, how can you say it's not like concrete? It's like when you talk about symbolisms and stuff like that. So what I'm trying, like a, what do you call those machines? Just hoover, like, I forgot the name of those machines. But anyway, I can't say it. But anyway, it's like, I can look back. Remember when you say from hindsight? And you're looking at yourself. That's what I'm like that. It's like when you think about your past, those who can. It's really hard to, especially if you're a Jehovah Witness, but I've been doing this for a long time. You hoover over. I forgot the name of that thing. It's like, anyway, it moves by itself. But anyway, in an imaginary world, or I guess I can say symbolically, but there's a better word for it. I told you because I'm doing songs a lot. I figured out why really simple words that sometimes I just have to explain them because I'm like working on songs like constantly. And I spent all yesterday learning songs, and then I spent this morning learning songs, and some of them are really, really difficult, but it doesn't, it's just hard work. So sometimes when I'm explaining things, I don't want to take everything out of my mind because I have a lot of other work to do. So anyway, so when you're going back in hindsight, or when you think back about what you've done in the past and how you were, it's like that. Okay, you're hovering, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, like hovering over. It's like you're here and you go back and you're looking at yourself. Okay, it's like that. So only I'm doing that to them, okay? Because I know and I figured out what had to have happened. So That's why I'm saying the thin line is me actually seeing what had to have happened in order for it to be happening now. So what I'm saying is when they decided that, oh, that's a rule, they can't talk to worldly people from the perspective of a Jehovah Witness, that was planned. It's just a lot of times we talked about it, but we didn't realize and we didn't state and we didn't understand that this one thing was planned. It was planned. Now, that was one thing, and then they had another thing, and these are separate things, and these were intricately placed in their Jehovah Witness program to control the people so that their organization wouldn't fall. And it also, because I was reading also that in the beginning of Jehovah Witness, before they were Jehovah Witnesses, they had people would leave and make other sects, if I can pronounce it right. But they had to eliminate that also. And today, in today's world, they eliminated that a lot. I mean, that's just, but I'm not saying it's not an accident, you know what I mean, when they make rules to not have that. So anyway, so now we talked about the sports and things. In the clubs, how does that affect us later on? It's just that it could have enlightened us with so many things. It could have shown us that that we have talents, things like that, okay? So it was done on purpose, but it was done to us in evil. That's what I'm saying. It's the perspective. It's not, we were just talking all the time that it just happened, but it just didn't happen. It's for a reason. And then another thing is like not being able to talk to or freely or associating or feeling free to talk to your family members that are not Jehovah Witnesses, okay? You isolate yourself from your own family, which is like, I'm going to say money. I'm not going to say money, not money in a sense, but it's a treasure. That's what I mean. It's a treasure, your family. Having your family, you help each other. I help them, they help me. That's a treasure in your life that you need, okay? And that you trust those people, okay? But they wanted to take that away. So that's another thing that they did. It was an evil for them to agree with that. And if it wasn't them, if it just happened, because sometimes you can make rules and people will react to these rules in a different way. Say if they started reacting to where they weren't associating with, say if it wasn't an evil that was planned, and the Jehovah Witnesses were just, not doing it because it was just, that's a response to them being a Jehovah Witness. Well, if it wasn't planned, it wasn't a planned evil, they would have said, oh, you must talk to your family members. It's a very good idea. It's a treasure. It's something God given. But they didn't do that. So that means it was a plan. It was a stroke against you. It was a strike against you. It was something against the people growing up as a Jehovah Witness to not being able to talk. It was planned. A planned evil for them not to talk to their family members who are not Jehovah's Witnesses. So that's another evil. So you see the perspective I'm talking about through their perspective, but not agreeing with them, seeing what had to have happened, what has to be happening. Okay? So that's this thin line. You remember I did this and then I just moved it over just like that. That's the thin line. The thin line is seen from their perspective, their secret perspective. and exposing the fact that they planned it, that this is something that was planned. It's very bad, but so that was another thing. And then I put down, also talked about, and I'm not. I told you I'm going to end this pretty soon, because after half an hour, these I mean, you look at it and you say it's a long time. Sometimes I have to do it, but this time I want people to see it. And even my friend told me that, but I didn't listen to him. He's not an ex-Jehovah Witness or anything. He just told me, he goes, sometimes I want to watch your tape, but when I see the minutes, I just don't, So sometimes I'll listen to other people. But I do listen to my friend all the time. I'm not going to mention her name. So anyway, so that's a planned evil. So now we're structuring. We're getting a structure of showing people, of showing to someone that it's not ambiguous. It's not vague. Okay, I'm showing them what's happening. Why it's not a religion. Okay, so I just mentioned two things that are evil has nothing to do with religion, meaning. Another thing, we can define religion, and it has to be a Christian religion that they're how can I say, feeding off of, because I said to use the Bible, and I haven't gotten on the Bible, but I have a fine line, new information for the Bible. Now we're just talking about the fine lines, and then I mentioned them acting as if they're all knowing, okay? That's another thing against the Jehovah Witnesses, or those who have grown up as Jehovah Witnesses. Remember when I said, when I grew up, and I was in an English class. I went to a college. I didn't care. A lot of things I just did. I didn't let anybody know. I just went, And I went to this when I went to college, but I didn't know what I was doing because I wasn't trained. Nobody told me anything about it. I just wanted to, and I did. So what I was saying, so I was in an English class, and the teacher, the professor, told me, to write a paper, and and all of my references were Jehovah Witnesses because I just knew that they knew everything, okay? And you couldn't strike it down in my head that they didn't know everything, but they knew everything. If they didn't plan this, and if this was an attack on the person's inner self, if it wasn't, they would say, oh, we're writing this information, but let us tell you that we don't know everything. They didn't do that. No, they let you think that they know everything. And I know because there's been times when I was taking catechism lessons or Catholic as an adult lessons, and they would say certain things that they didn't know. They would say point blank, we don't know this, okay? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. As a Jehovah Witness, they never said that, and they didn't. They know so much less than all the other religions that follow the Bible. And that's hurting them. I mean, it hurts the people that they're supporters, okay? So the reason I said that they know everything, and I told you I went to the theater, and I walked out of the theater. I guess and I walked out of the theater because they were doing magic in a cartoon, which is really stupid for me. And you see, I didn't have the reasoning. That's nothing they took, and that's another subject, how they take the reasoning out of you. Because if I was sitting in that chair and I was watching a movie, I would know that, hey, it's a cartoon. In the cartoon, it's all magic. I mean, anything. They could run 50,000, Roadrunner can run 1,000 miles an hour. And animals can talk, and all this other thing. How can I say? Just they can do anything they want to in the cartoon. But I didn't have reasoning, and that's another thing that was taken away. So, but I didn't put that down for this one. The only thing I'm saying in this one is that They're all-knowing. They place in their mind and let the people think that they're all-knowing when it's not true. So this explains the fine line. I want to do the Bible next, okay? Because I have fine lines. Because we talked about the Bible. You know, I really tried to develop that. I think it was last year about the Bible. But now I got this fine line about the Bible that I'm going to explain about. But this one is it for now, because, I got a certain amount of time for this one. And this is going to be ex-Jehovah Witness explaining the fine line that I'm talking about now, something according to that. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you all later. Remember, these series that I'm doing now, I'm not going to number them. Okay, I'm not going to number 1, number 2, number 3. Another reason why I don't like to do it, because when somebody does part 2, and then I don't want them to feel like, oh, where's 1? You know what I mean? I have to listen to 1. If they want to just listen to this one, then they could just listen to this one. And it's up to them if they want to find, where I started with this series or when I ended with this series. So I don't put down 1 and 2. It's not like, that's just the way I don't like that. I don't like that for now. But with dance out music, American yoga, yes, I like to do it sometimes. But anyway, that's it. And I hope you understand the fine line that I'm on right now as far as explaining about the crisis that we have as being a Jehovah Witness, as an ex-Jehovah Witness. Thank you very much. Hang in there.